future may bring. My heart is filled with joy and laughter, 'cause I know where I'm going to, the only place I chose to be. Come with me, and you'll see. I wanna be in a university where I can fully open my mind. If I can't be, then I wanna be at Holy Name University. I wanna be in a university where I can fully open my mind. If I can't be, then I wanna be at Holy Name University. I wanna be in a university where I can fully open my mind. If I can't be, then I wanna be at Holy Name University. I wanna be in a university where I can fully open my mind. If I can't be, then I'm sure it would be at Holy Name University. Realizing dreams.
Hello, good morning once again. So before we start our program, a friendly reminder, we are encouraging everyone to please turn on your video cameras, but please be reminded to wear a decent attire for this morning's activity. Also, please mute your microphone to avoid overlapping during the discussion period. For our open forum later, after the lecture, please wait to be recognized before unmuting your microphones to achieve a good exchange of ideas and inquiries. So if you have any questions for our lecturer, please save them for our open forum later, and we will be discussing all of that. So we will start the program any minute by now. And to those who is not here yet, there's still a chance to enter the virtual space, so you won't miss any part of the program. Hello, good morning once again. The number of participants for this afternoon's webinar is currently is rapidly rising up. So let's give them a little grace period to enter our virtual space before we start. So with that, please stand for the opening prayer to be led by Mr. Jezreel Dinoy. Mr. Dinoy.
Okay, thank you. Let us be aware that we are in God's most holy presence. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Father Almighty, we praise you for being full of love and patience. Forgive us from the misdeeds that we have committed. We thank you for guiding us with your spirit of love, and that we be able to show our love to others through helping them. We thank you for the blessings that you have showered upon us. Today, loving God, we pray for all those women who, despite the sufferings and challenges they face in life, continue to care for their family and children, to give assistance, and to earn a living to support others. We deeply pray for the women who are mentally, physically, emotionally, and sexually abused, and to those who does not know the words to express the pain they feel in life. We pray for the victims, Lord, that you will assist and guide them towards the path of recovery and justice. Shield them from the myopic judgment of the public. As we are about to start our symposium, we ask that you enlighten our minds and our hearts, Lord, to grasp the essential knowledge. Guide us in using this imparted knowledge to bridge a refined unity among men and women towards a healthy relationship and interdependence. In this we ask through Christ our Lord. Amen. Father, Son, Holy Spirit.
Please be seated. Hello, hello, hello. Good morning once again. It is indeed another exceptional day to celebrate the 18-day campaign to end violence against women. I can assure you that the topic that we are going to tackle this morning will give us an insight with the Safe Space Act to be discussed to us later on. But before everything else, I would like to introduce myself. I am Maria Victoria Hibaya, your host and moderator for this morning's webinar. Without further ado, please help me introduce our resource speaker this morning. She is a former city councilor of Tagbilaran, a dedicated president of the Girl Scout of the Philippines Bohol chapter, former chief of staff at the provincial capital, an advocate of women's rights. At present, she is an instructor at Holy Name University that teaches urban development learning program, international relations, debate and argumentation, and many more. She has a doctorate degree on public administration with her dissertation entitled Juvenile Justice and Welfare Act of 2007. Does it rehabilitate? She is also the director under the UDLP program and the head of the political science program of the College of Arts and Sciences. A supportive mom and a loving wife to her husband, please help me welcome Dr. Anne Mariquit Derikito Oppus JD. Hi, ma'am. Good morning.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Thank you, Vic. Do you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We can hear
Okay.
you clearly.
Oo. Prangka lang ha, gikulbaan ko. I don't know why. I've been in the advocacy since 2000 and to present this before the College of Arts and Sciences, my hometown, actually is, I don't know. I'm feeling here that parang I don't know if I deserve this, but thank you so much for that that introduction, Vic, and thank you for Cass, no? Especially Dr. Boloron and my colleagues here who came in very early, Dr. Fred, Attorney Villares is here, Sheena, Shine is also here. Pardon for the others, no, that I think the rest are here, the psychology department, the communications, everybody else is here, and of course the criminology department. Like I said, kulbaan ko, I've done this presentation around the Philippines. I've just been before at the DPWH of Region 4A because I have been in this advocacy a long time. So magstorya na tag gender-based violence, violence against women, gender, it's really very close to home. But I don't know why I feel something different today. That's why I messaged you. Let's have a conversation. Okay, let me be your ate, your mom, your sister, or your colleague. Okay. Now, let me start. Wait. Let me share screen. Where am I here? Bikulbaan yung ko kaayo. Sandali. How do I do this? Share screen. I cannot. Wait, sandali. Because I'm mute. Wait here. Okay. Okay. Let me share screen. Do you see this, guys? Yes.
Yes,
Do you see
ma'am.
this?
Yes,
Yes. Okay. Am I clear? No, there's no distraction from where I
Yes.
am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let me start by giving you, I don't know if everybody knows this, but when I initially spoke to some professors and some friends and even the students that I met last night, not too many know what this 18-day end violence campaign is, right? Right? So this is not very familiar, especially if you're not in the advocacy. And even our provincial and city leadership, I have not as much as it was in the past when this was very new. Okay, I don't hear so much about this. Okay, but Before I proceed pala, let me actually thank Holy Name Cass for this opportunity. Vera, you're there. Thank you so much. Why? Because you are bringing me to something that I have always wanted to do in the 5 years that I am in the academic institution. Very little, few of us actually are in the advocacy. It's very difficult because in the prayer of Jezreel, you know what you are into when you talk about violence against women, sexual harassment, right? A lot of gory stories. And when Jezreel was leading us in prayer, I have to be frank with you, I got emotional again because when we talk of gender-based violence, violence against women, sexual harassment, it's very close to my heart because I've met a lot of victims. Okay, and I've heard their stories, and like Jezreel said, a lot of them remain to be helpless. They are bounded by this cultural divide, and that's what we are going to talk about. Now, I'd like to thank you also, HNU CAS, because in behalf of the Bohol Provincial Police Office Advisory Council, because we are trying to strengthen this advocacy. Okay, so like I said, what is the 18-day End Violence Against Women campaign? Okay, firstly, this started in the year 2002. So I was very new then. No, I came home to Bohol in the year 2000. And when the advocacy started, I was already in the provincial government. That's why when this was born, I was already there with all modesty aside. So it was in 2002 that this started. This actually started to be only 16 days, okay? And then ask me why it became 18. It became 16 at the beginning because it starts in November 25. This was actually launched in November 25 in 2002. This used to be celebrated as the International Day to Eliminate VAW, or Violence Against Women and Children. Okay, why 16? Because the government felt, and of course the United Nations felt, because International Human Rights Day is also celebrated or commemorated, as advocates would call it, in December 10. So that's 16 days. So let's make this at least a 2-week campaign. The end being December 10, which is International Human Rights Day, because violence against women and children is actually a human rights issue, correct? Okay, now why in 2000? Because it started to be in 2019 that we celebrate this as an 18-day campaign. Because in April 2019, our president signed a law, RA 11313, the Safe Spaces Act. Okay, because we are now expanding it to make it 18 because December 12 is also the day that the UN Protocol Against Trafficking in Women and Children was signed into law. Okay, so from 16 it's now 18 because they saw how significant all these activities or all these campaigns are. Okay, so that's the history. Now, so this year, 2021, we are celebrating this 18-day End Violence Against Women campaign as a day to espouse this new law, which was passed in 2019. So that's the theme for this year, the Safe Spaces Act, okay? I think you're familiar with the Bawal Bastos bill, because actually, historically, before this became a law in 2019, it was introduced in the House and in Congress as a Bawal Bastos law. Remember the news, especially for Pol-Sci students, you have to be aware about what's happening, okay? I'm quite sure you're not. Not too many. Remember in the news, katubitang LGBTQ, when they started shouting or making noise about people catcalling them, remember that? Okay, this was early in the administration of President Duterte. So that actually was the policy drafted by Congress, the bill Bawal ang Bastos law. But when it became, when it became a law, it was RA 11313. They called it the Safe Spaces Act to make it more comprehensive. Okay? Now, let me proceed. Okay, this year, this is what I said. The slogan is Filipino Marispeto, Safe Spaces, Kasali Tayo. Okay, Tagalog na siya. Okay, but I'm quite sure, understandable. All of our students here have Filipino, right? Okay, ako wag galing ko Filipino, makabasa sa gihapon dai kog Tagalog, sir. Okay, so this is the theme, but the campaign is to raise awareness on RA 11313. Let me just proceed with the presentation, and let's have open forum later on, okay? Sige, kay. In my classes, when I start, accepting questions sa third slide pa lang, di naman may makadiretso kay makutob ra ma Mr. Slide, naghana ma mi chika-chika, di ba? Students of mine in Pulse 100. Okay, so this is our guide. Let's take a look at what is RA 11313. And then, of course, let's be relevant. I always find this very useful in my discussions. What are we now? The COVID-19 and VAW. How are we, correct? No? Because of course it was passed in 2019 and the pandemic came. The question to ask is, how helpful was RA 11313 or even sexual harassment law when COVID-19 came about? And then what are our next steps? Okay, now, are you familiar with this picture? Have you experienced this? No. Diba? Some of us, when I was growing up, let me just tell a short story about myself. No, I walked to school. I went to Holy Spirit School. The school is like 3 blocks away from my house. I just walk. There was one time, because I used to play tennis. Kung mag-tennis, magugka. Tennis skirt, bitaw, nubo, bitaw ng tennis skirt, no? Okay, sige. So when I go to school and bring my tennis racket, I don't know, when I use the gala, taas mago ng gala, di ba? Long sleeve pa. Nobody looks at, shouts at me or catcalls me, no? But when I wear the tennis uniform, all of a sudden, I'm sexy. Kana bitaw, hi, day, sexy ha, makaday. Ana, di ba? Okay? For some, okay ra na, correct? Nay uban ganahan pa, sexy ko ganahan po maglakaw mo samot og gagara, di ba? Di ba? Pero nay uban, guys, di ba? Nay uban maglagot. Ako naglagot ko. Kay ngano di ba ko ganahan tawagon kog sexy? I don't want to be called sexy. At Holy Spirit, sexy is something else. I'd rather be called smart. Correct? But a friend of mine would tell me, how will people know you're smart when you're not even opening your mouth yet, kid? Sabi ko, can I not be smart with a costume like this? Correct? Or an outfit like that. Okay? So, ingani, no? I think one day or the other, no? Kamo, you've been called this. Or, di ba? Ay, gupahamang ka. Uy, lami amang kagkuan. Di ba? Uy, plunging lagi imong neckline. Alagi nakita gamay diha, no? I mean, but it's very subjective. It depends upon us. Kung imong reaction, maglagot ka, then probably you can relate to a lot of victims. But for some, they even take it very well. Sexy ko. Kamo mayang point, magpa-sexy siya. Correct? Okay. For the men, if somebody, di ba? Kita, example, na may mga, dagan na tag men, ani. Di ba? If a girl has anyone, no? Sa mga laki na to diri. Has anyone called you, baba? Mga laki ha? Na iniingon, sexy ha, uy. Di ba? Unsa man na? Have you imagined men, no? Somebody calls you sexy. Would you take it as a compliment? See? Or something else. Okay? Are we good? Am I fast? Am I too fast, Vic? Am I okay? Okay ra ha?
Okay, ma'am.
Sige. Okay. So, next, kani. No? Kana bitaw gunitan ka. Correct? Kung crush nimo, di ba? Dugay na gyud kang crush ani imong classmate ba niya, wa ka pansin na. Yeah. Bulok-bulok man ni classmate ta. Okay. Yeah. Sa exam ba muduol bitaw? Ingani imong reaction kung crush nimo ang muduol? All of a sudden ba? Di ba? Gunitan bitaw ka sa imong shoulder. Crush nimo ha? Di man tantong gwapo pero nabitay giingon og mas lami makuno tong tall, dark and di man handsome kayo pero madadara ba? Okay? Kung crush nimo ang mugunit sa imong shoulder, what would you feel? Pero kung somebody you don't like or you don't even know, correct? Kung amigo lang ang mugunit ani, right? Barkada, okay ra. Diba? If somebody does that to you and you feel something else, you feel uncomfortable, no? We have lawyers, I think, here. Harassment, I even asked some advocates, no, unsa man gyud ni harassment? You know what? It's so broad. And they would tell me anything that makes you uncomfortable. So sexual harassment DI, it's really quite subjective, correct? No, lahi-lahi gyud ni siya. But that is why they wanted to pass RA 11313 because our sexual harassment law was quite limited to what? Work, training, or education setup. Katong atong original Sexual Harassment Act or RA 7877. Different to siya kay dapat dunay what? Imbalance of power. It was work, it was training, or education related. Somebody having an influence on you, moong giharas ka. Correct? Mo na difference. But RA 11313 is more comprehensive, more encompassing. Like I said, even including harassment against the LGBTQ, which actually was the rationale for passing this new law or the Safe Spaces Act. Okay? So, kana ha? So very, very subjective. Now, what does this cover? Covers all forms of sexually based, gender-based sexual harassment committed in public places, education or training institution, workplaces, as well as, of course, online space. Bago naman. Even, di ba, I remember I had a briefing with some students last night. Remember you mentioned about TikTok, even at TikTok, iharas ka. Correct? With just words or probably, I don't know how you, I've not really experienced that because nobody has complained about online, harassment, but I'd like to know how it feels. No? Giunsa man pag-harass, how do they do it? Correct? This is a very new good space. So online space is actually already included in RA 11313. And what is important is it includes now privately owned spaces open to the public. Okay, for instance, you go to the mall, you are an athlete, correct? You're an athlete and you're sent by your school to another town. And then dito ka gipapuyo sa usa ka elementary school or even in high schools. That is already covered, okay, by the new law. Okay, acts which are committed through or any unwanted or uninvited sexual actions or remarks. So even remarks, catcalling included. Okay? Now, so these are the spaces referred to. Streets, alleys, okay. You know why? This law is actually data-based also. Why? Because in the year 2017, there is the data that shows harassment incidents happened during the day, 70% in 2017, 70% of harassment cases happened during the day, and 58% of these cases happened or are experienced in streets, major roads, and esquinitas, with majority of physical harassment happening in public transport vehicles. Correct? So I don't know if you have experienced this also later on in the sharing. No, I handled a seminar such as this with DPWH Region 4A last week. And somebody was so brave enough to share her experience. She was living in a condominium unit, diba? And then she didn't realize that there was a neighbor that had, was stalking her already. It actually led to her filing a complaint using RA 11313. But the sad thing is, this is sad thing because the implementers of the law, when she, went to the barangay and the police, siya pa'y murag maot. Giingnan pa siya, aw sirad iragod po ng imong door. I mean, because like I said, guys, not too many even of our law enforcers know this law already. Okay? So this can happen in all of these places. There was one incident also with the Girl Scouts of the Philippines. We sent a delegation to Luzon. And we girls, diba, in the middle of the night, that's why when we send our students or our delegates to areas such as this, we really require somebody to check on the place that they go to. No kana bitang mga boarding houses or the schools that they are, billeted at, no, they call it billeting, no. And then a Girl Scout who's only like high school, senior high actually, a cadet scout went. And then we actually told them, if you want to, answer the call of nature in the middle of the night, make sure somebody accompanies you, right? Pero kaninga girl, naiko ba siya ba, naulaw siya, kay hinano kuno kayo iyang partner sa room. So she went alone. In the middle of the night, because it was not lighted, she was bringing with her cell phone and using the, kanabitang, flashlight of the light of the phone, went to the restroom. All of a sudden, somebody knocked on her door. Maayo na galing kay, mura siya, uy, kariyot sa, and then she said, abi niya iyang roommate, and siya nga, sa to iyang name siyang roommate. Now, let's just say it's Miss, ikaw na, and then nobody answered. Okay? You know what, guys? She stayed in the restroom for quite some time, like 10 to 15 minutes, called her mom through the phone. Mami, na ako sa CR, nahadlok mako kay naay nanuktok na ko diri. This was reported to us because we, the Girl Scouts, we filed a complaint against the sponsoring region at that time. Okay? So this can happen to anybody. That is why we have the Safe Spaces Act. Okay? Okay. What are gender-based sexual harassment in public places? Like we said, catcalling or unwanted remarks. It's so, this is very subjective, right? No, so depende yun na. Naiuban, okay naman nila. Pero to a lot of us women, especially Filipino women, it's off. So anything that makes you uncomfortable, that's actually actionable. Persistent, uninvited comments or gestures on a person's appearance, right? Uy, siksiha man ka. Uy, daghang mga comments. Relentless requests for personal details. For instance, somebody you just don't know about. Kalit bitog muduol ninyo. Have you experienced this when you enroll, for instance, formal line? Nabi pa ni first year, bago pa, riba? Yan nabi tayo muduol ninyo, hindi po ninyo type na. Kaya mawala gini akong giingon ninyo. Subjective, magundi kay kung type na to ang muduol, abak siging pa, no? Gangising yun ako itong mga dagway. Pero kanabi daw somebody out of the blues and just approaches you, Miss, pwede mangayo sa ibong cellphone. All of a sudden ba? Diba? Di ba ma-off ta na automatic? Kung sumanin siya, uy, kung singa na nakapress ko. Correct? And then, dili yun mo hunong ba? Sige ko, Miss, imo mo cellphone ba? No? I experienced this also, when I was in the province before, I had a staff who was actually a pretty lady. And then she was in charge with releasing, mga kanang formats, no? A form for accommodation in the office. And then she came to me and then she said, Ma'am Kit, can you please detail me somewhere else? I said, why? And then she said, Ma'am, because I'm receiving manggod. Kada bitaw, pasahan kag load. Have you experienced this? Has anyone experienced this? All of a sudden, somebody sends you a load and tells you, this is for you. Please use this to reply to my text messages. I had the staff receiving that from a very prominent person in the community that was so sexually, she was so harassed that she said, Ma'am Kit, can you please detail me? And we did. Okay, this is actually part of the coverage of the law. Statement of sexual comments and suggestions, even public masturbation. Diba? I mean, siguro some of you, kaning sa sinihan bito day, I experienced this also in the past. No, nananaw mig sinis akong barkada kato sa Cebu sa una Belvic pa. For those who are my age, you're probably familiar with Belvic Theater, no, dinhi sa sentro sa Cebu City. We went to the movie house and then di ba ngit-ngit bitaw na, and then we were standing kay puno kaayo nananaw mamig movie ni Sharon ba, di ba kay Sharon bitaw na sa una, no, sikat pa kay Sharon sa una, so daha kay manood sa sinihan. So we went, 3 of us, my friends, and then my friend told me, Kit, do you see that person at the far end of the room? I said, why? Kana bitaw bastos jud kay da maludon pag gani kumukuno na anak karon, no? Kana bitaw mo open sa iyang zipper. Masturbating in public is so crazy. That is covered under this law. During that time, wala magud to. No, all you do is, just leave the place and then ikaw usahay. You know what we did? We even left the theater. We didn't finish the movie at all. Giluod man min, unsa man ni, di ba? Okay, so this is covered by the law. Any advances, whether verbal or physical, that is unwanted. This is one thing with the law, guys. It's really protecting you, protecting your integrity, correct? Persistent telling of sexual jokes, using of sexual names. Okay? Stalking. Kanina ay magsunod-sunod ninyo ba? Sa skinita, muuli mo. Mo lagi ni. Kung type ninyo, di man good na uncomfortable, so you don't complain. But if you don't feel comfortable, it's every right of every woman or any person. Like I said ha, dili ra ni babae. Nay uban bastuson, di ba? Male to male. Di ba? Members of the LGBTQ, di ba? Bastuson mo. Oy, anak, catcalling mo, taguyan mo. I mean, all these things. This is covered by 11313. Now, as I said, let's bring ourselves to today. Has violence against women and violent, sexual harassment cases decreased when the pandemic came? Quite frankly and so sadly, the reality is it's even high. You remember the 2013 earthquake of Bohol? No? That was not too long ago. A few months after the earthquake hit Bohol, and then di ba naatay mga gihimo adto nga mga evacuation areas, our network was able to report for the first district of Bohol alone at least 3 to 5 sexual harassment cases in evacuation areas. And tanaw na mo guys, ang culprit magud-ani kay di ba evacuation na ata ng tao, even karon sa pandemic. Ana na magud sa balay, sa skinita, sa mga sari-sari store, ana na mag-inom-inom ba, no? There's even one finding of a study. Kani kasagaran bitaw karon nga labnuton bitaw nga magagagmayng bata bitaw sa mga barangays or even in cities. Nakakuan magud ang pulis kay mura magud og na ay kaila ba ang gadala. Ngano? It's actually a cycle. Dugay na magud nila gi-obserbaran. Example, typical example. Here is a grade school student, because this is an actual case, a grade 3 student of one town in Cebu. A grade 3 student gisugo sa iyang mama dito sa sari-sari store. Ang bata, guwapa. Okay? Gisugo siya papaliton o kalimot na lang suka, bato or asin. Okay? And then, every day na ay mag-inom dito ng mga laki. First pa lang ningon na itong mga, mga di man gud ni mga tigo, mga young pa kayo, even middle-aged men ba, mag-inom-inom, bitaw niya, inom, uy, gwapa lagi ka day. Nga kaning bata, ta inom, ta gwapa di, ganahan ko no? Di ba? Of course, gwapa god. Huh? So, nagkuha na regular na nga activity ba, no? Kanunay siya suguon, so familiar sila. Mauni nga kasagarang cases yun kanang labnuton, naagyoy semblance of familiarity na hinsalig na ang bata. So one case was, kato akong giingon ninyo, grade 3, giingana ba everyday, so na-familiar niya siya sa laki, mama ba. And then pag uli niya one time, kay gabi naman, it was around 6 o'clock. Ingon tong laki nga nakainom na, dahil kuyugan, tikaday ha, pauli, no? So katong bata, familiar na niya itong tao, di na to stranger, correct? Diba? Diba we were trained when we were little children, don't talk to strangers. So kani siya, di naman stranger, familiar na, taga-ilara. So ni Kuyong, wala kauli ang bata. She was raped and brutally murdered. Single steps, magud ni small steps ni, no, sa mga kanagyong mga, nagyong intent to harass even or to violate. No? So mauni siya. In around the world, it's 1 in 3 women worldwide experiencing physical or sexual violence by an intimate partner. In the Philippines, actually, is 1 in 4 women. Okay, so globally, it's 1 in 3 women experiencing physical and sexual violence by an intimate. Kasagaran ani magungay, no? Unfortunate reality. Sometimes I ask myself, is the home really the safest place? Because most of sexual harassment and rape cases, incest, no? Sa balay manggod, diba? Intimate partners. So in the Philippines is, kapara namo, it's very bad naman. Maingon galing sila. It's not as bad as in the world. Okay, 1 in 3 good. Kita 1 in 4. Okay, that is actually based on 2017 statistics. And this happens with refugees and those living in conflict-affected areas all over the world. So see, evacuation centers, can you imagine? That is why the law is saying, when you establish evacuation centers, dapat i-ensure ninyo na safe ang mga tao, safe spaces. Diba? Dapat doon ang restroom, Or kung layo na siya, lighted siya, well lighted, or dapat gyud na ay gwardya. Correct? Na ay support. Why? To protect not only women, like I said, but everybody else. Okay? Are we good? Okay? Are we good? Disura ning ani no? Sige.
Yes, we are.
Oy, hi sir.
Bakit?
Oh, di ba? So, these are the data around the world. Wa patay bagong data sa Philippines ha, but it's increasing all over. Quite frankly, if I may share, mo lagi namin yun ang mga advocates, we're not as bad as other countries. Yes, I know. Mas grabe gyud ang harassment, gender-based violence in other areas, even in China, even in the US. Abi na to, grabe ta. We're even better. My final message will show you why. Okay? Sige. So let's proceed. Ha? Di na lang ta. So next steps, what can we do at home? Okay? Advocates say, and it's even in the law, let's be aware that social isolation, quarantine, and distancing can affect you and your family's psychological. I think we all share this, right? No? Especially now sa atong kuan narata sa balay. And in the Philippines, this is very rampant in single bedroom households. Okay? Wala man, I mean, bisa bitaw maingon ta physical distancing ug naay magkuan, di ba? O ato sa usa ka bedroom na naay complete CR, not too many have that benefit. A lot of our households is one bedroom households. That's where incest happens. This is a sad reality. I will just have to tell you the truth. Okay? Currently, we have at least 33 now. I'm talking of now, as of December 2021. We have 33 cases of children now at the Bohol Crisis Intervention Center. 80% are incest cases. So abi galing namo sa pandemic, muubos ang cases. And this is even small. Why? These are the women or the children that are brave enough to report. A lot of these cases that are actually happening all over the world are unreported. Why? It's not the absence of knowledge of the law. It is overcoming fear. It's taking up courage because, quite frankly, this is another sad reality. Ang kontra pagyud nato ang inahan. Okay? Stepmoms are our problem. We advocates, when we come in, ingnon pa mi sa inahan, ma'am, ug inyong ipapriso ang akong bana, ipangpriso ang iyang stepfather, what will we eat tomorrow? Ingana bitaw day. The sense of dependency. Walay kadulngan mo, di mo complain. This is a very sad reality. Okay? So as much as possible, reduce sources of stress. Better said than done, no? Kana di ko na kahit maminaw og news ba, no? Of course, ayaw ko no kay the more we listen to the news, the more we know the truth. Magka-stress, no? Okay? Just listen to it and then just pray. I think that's better, di ba? Or seeking support from family and friends. That's very important. Pero mao lagi ni dilemma nato. Naama pud sa pamilya ang problema, good, di ba? To a lot of cases now happening. Trying to maintain daily routines and make time for physical activity and sleep. These are very practical tips. And using relaxation exercises, breathing, meditation. In my case, to deal with all that's happening now, no, I do yoga, no? So if there's anything that you have experienced in the past, how you dealt with adversity, that will work. Mingo bitaw sila, ayaw na nag-medal in the past. Of course, there's things in the past that worked for us, right? So maybe we can go back to it. The very simple things. Okay? Women who are experiencing violence may find it helpful to reach out to supportive family. That's why kita pila man takabuk. We're 86 here. Okay? This is a very good start. I mean, I've been in the advocacy since the year 2000, even before the passage of that law in 2002. Bahala nagbuhara kabuok because we really need advocates. Like I said, daghan na kay tabalaod. Attorney Chi can probably confirm this. Daghan, the Philippines has one of the most number of laws protecting women and children all over the world. No, kung naay bagong initiative sa UN nga ipapasar, dali kay taana because our Philippine Council of Women, the PCW, is a very active unit. So we have a lot of laws. Question: who has the courage to use this law. Okay, that's why sa advocacy nako karon, tagsara lagi kaayo bitaw, no? So sometimes makalimtan pud nato that we focus on, for instance, if there's somebody that's harassed, we think it's enough na napriso ang gaharas, di ba? It's enough na napriso ang you know, we call it the defendant, di ba? Ang nakasa bitaw napriso, that's enough. Actually, sa totoo lang, it's not enough. Sa advocacy karon, I am actually personally focusing on a victims focused response. Why? There's this cycle of violence man. Dili mo hulong bitaw. You know, di na lang ko magsukidahan na magulong study tam human man, but later on if you ask questions, even always remember this. Even those who are engaged in sex for money, kani gitawag bitaw nato commercial sex. Kay in other areas in Luzon magud, actually di man po legitimize, no, but they're actually considered a part of the economic, source of income in that place. So more legitimate. More legitimate. Na red light district ito, no? Even these people can be harassed because, like I said, the law says anything that's unwanted, anything that makes you uncomfortable, that is harassment. Correct? No? Unlike the other law that was passed, the gender, that's anti-sexual harassment law. Okay? So it pays to leave the house and get help. One tip that advocates would like you to do is, kay ako bitong giingnan, kato bitong victims do not have the courage to fight. Okay, they just keep it to themselves. So let's probably empower our women, especially our children, especially very young people, to be able to get out of this. If I may share with you a very current experience that I've had. There's this boy, a girl, separated yung parents, so na siya stepfather. Okay, they were staying in Tagbilaran. She was only 7 years old. She started to be raped by the stepfather since she was 7 years old. Can you imagine? So start siya rape, ha? Vera, you know this. Remember Vera, this story? Okay, because we rescued this girl.
Yes.
Diba? And then, can you imagine? Vera and I were not in government at that time, but the network is still there. Okay, so please help us. Okay, so anyway, this girl was raped in Tagbilaran. You know what? She was so brave. She knew that she can get out of the house at the age of 18. So gahuwat ra day siya day. Imagine kasakripisyo sa from 7 years old siya up to she reached 18 years old. Dinha na siya nakagats na. Kay iyang friend, one of her friends pala is the daughter of a network partner of mine in one school. Okay? So naila-ila siya og babae ba nga parehog advocacy. So gistoryaan siya. You know what? She mustered, pag turn 18 niya, she mustered enough courage to leave the home. Can you imagine that? Naghuwat siya. And Vera, you know this, di ba, Vera? She was raped everywhere the stepfather was assigned. So can you imagine 7 to 17, 10 years siyang giraped sa stepfather. And ang problema pa, the mother, dili stepmama, the mother was pro stepfather. Pag yun, mo man ni reality. Very sad, but it happened. But I'm glad the girl was brave enough. So she was rescued, sent to the BCIC. BCIC made sure she's able to go to school. No, I think she's okay now. No, para dili nakaduol ang father. But actually the father now is in jail. See? But not too many have that strength, right? Or that courage. Because it starts with a little information and people, who can you reach? Diba? Who can you turn to when this is happening to you? To keep information on violence against women hotlines, okay, important ni. I don't know the hotline now, but just call on the police and call the women's desk. And if you wish, approach us. And then we can link you. And we can even provide you 100% legal support. You don't have to pay your lawyers because there are also a lot of lawyers who are very willing to help. And even medical attention. Okay, so this is actually my last slide. While the Philippines has taken giant leaps to ensure and guarantee the woman's position in society, much is still needed. While we have broken the glass ceiling with laws and regulations in place, the Filipina, the Boholana, is still trapped in the consciousness that has for a long time deprived her of realizing her full potential. Thus, the campaign lives on, a crusade we need to involve our next generation in. And that is you. I'm talking to you. Let's talk about this because this is a very, I don't know how to describe it, a reality we never wanted our young children, especially women, to be in. But the reality is telling us they are in it. If I am talking, this is always how I do this, no? If I am talking to someone here who probably experienced this, but has not the courage, okay? Always remember this. Your crusade should not be against the offender. Women especially. Winning this fight is not being over men. As Mary Wollstonecraft said, okay, the fight against gender-based violence against women, it's not about women over men. Most important, it is women, people, to be over ourselves. Because nobody can do it for you. Bisag unsaon gyud namo og spouse ani. Like I said, I started this in 2000. Daghan na kay kog seminar. And when sad reality, there's one victim from Tagbilaran City. Mga musta ko niya, kumusta naman ko. Can you imagine? She's married, raped by the husband almost every other day. She wanted to separate, nothing. Why? She cannot find a good job, a decent job, especially at this time. When I saw her a year ago, I told her, how are you? Ningingon siya, ma'am, okay raman ko ma'am. Sige na lang ma'am, mag-antos na lang ko ma'am. Kay ako maintawang gihigug ma'am. Mao na nagiingon, gugmang sana sir. Di na lang kung sutik eh. Kuan ra ba ni? Diba? I mean, women can still suffer because they love a person. Men also, I know, sige na lang, naagyo daghan galing. Okay na lagi ni ma'am. There's one that texted me, ma'am, is this sexual harassment? She works in a mall. Gamay ra matag mall dire, kamo na lang tagag-asa na, no? Okay. I said, yes, it's a typical sexual harassment case. Report to your HR. I said, okay, di ba? All organizations dapat naman ay CODI, Committee on Decorum and Investigation, and you have a women's desk dapat or a gender advocate there. I said, okay, you report to HR. I don't know her up to now. Text na yun na nga number. Ma'am, is this sexual harassment? She told me and then said, it is sexual harassment. I said, you report to HR. You know what she told me? The person harassing her actually is the HR officer. So ano na nato ron, correct? That was the last text I got from her. I said, if you want, you can see me. But up to today, she's not seen me. So na ay daghan, I know. So if I'm talking to somebody here listening, because actually victims have no race, no status, quite frankly. Daghang dato, no? Dili maningog, labaw na katong wala, correct? Kay maulaw. Kuna, di ba? Kay ingnon man lagi puta sa, I mean, this is an actual experience. Ingnon puta, nay usa lagi ni report siya sa pulis. Unsay giingon sa pulis? Aw, siksi magud po ka maninina day. Nganong inganaon? Ayo lang gud puta si po na imong sayal gamay bi. Is that how we are? How insensitive we are? So I even told the police officers now, because I'm active with the provincial advisor, I told them, let us please be more sensitive. No, it does not, a sexy skirt, a sexy person does not give that person, it's not opening up for you to abuse that person. It's about self-respect, correct? I even tell these offenders, always remember it can happen to you. It can happen to anybody. It can even happen to advocates, correct? Why? Because we don't do something about it. That's it. Mind setting. Let's be over ourselves. And with that, thank you and have a nice morning. And I'll accept questions. Thank you very much. Thank you, Vic.
No, for the
Okay.
very informative lecture we had. about our rights for a safe space to live harmoniously. Now it is time for our open forum, but before we start, let us familiarize ourselves with the rules of our open forum this morning. Should you have any questions, please click the raise your hand command button to be recognized. But if you are not comfortable with speaking up, you can also type the questions on the chat box and I will read it for you. So without further ado, let's have our open forum. So to anyone who has any to have to anybody who has any questions, please click the raise your hand button to be recognized. But before that, let me start the question, Ma'am Kate.
Yes, please.
I do have
Yes, please.
something in mind because I saw a video that is viral now on social media. This is about an LGBTQ member who is
Mm,
using the girls' bathroom. I just saw this on the social media.
yeah,
They were
yeah,
using the girls' bathroom, and then the lady that was using the certain bathroom complained that it was harassing her, na she didn't feel comfortable with them nga nasa CR. So with that, ma'am, tungod
yes,
kay broad bitaw kayo ang kanang protection
yeah,
ani na balaod. So akong putana, asa may mas mo labaw adto ma'am nga kanang kailangan ba jud
right,
bawson
yes,
to nga mga LGBTQ members or ang
yeah,
bae mismo
yeah.
ang mo adjust? So mo na akong question, ma'am.
Yeah. Actually, Vic, let's go to the definition. Kung tanawin nyo sa definition sa Safe Spaces Act, anything that is uncomfortable to you, okay, that makes you uneasy. So that falls there. Okay? Wala pa lang, maula gini nga, the law is here passed to make us more sensitive. To cite an example, I went to Taguig a year ago. No, not before the pandemic, 2019, okay? Mid-2019. You know what? They're so gender sensitive there. There's a BIR office there that there's, di ba? Men, women. There was a third one. I actually took a picture of it. I wish I had that here. The third one was actually whichever. That's how sensitive they are already. Di ba? But actually it falls there because the ladies, they also want to feel, safe in that lady CR. Ang identity, maod actually because bago pa maning balaod, it's fine-tuned, but a lot of LGUs, government offices, are actually being proactive. Nakakita gyud ko, there's a man, women, and another one, no, actually it's male, female, and then whichever. No? So in that case, that actually falls under, you can call the attention actually of the management of the place that you went to or that office because we're not ready yet. And then question galing na, ubusod po itong LGBTQ sa men. Correct? Masuko sa itong mga laki, right? See? So probably wait for your turn. I mean, probably kay wala pa man ma-physically ready, we can devise some means, like example, you just wait until everybody, i-empty sa lang siya ba? No? Siguro, magpuli-puli lang sa. So there's no, because there's no, there's no gender here sa harassment, magud. Anything that makes you, if I may lang, Vic, there's even one case, no, at the BCIC, the Bohol Crisis Intervention Center. My attention was called. Why? Mga victims na babae, okay, women, okay? But not all women have that an identity nga babae siya, correct? You know what happened? There was one who was complaining because a co-female was trying to touch her private parts at one. Kaya nga no, nag-share sila bed. Okay, kay rehabilitation centers na to, mga evacuation. We don't have the benefit of single beds for every person, di ba? So mauto nga ang among gibuhat, gi-separate na mo and then naghimo mi og bunk beds. Just to make sure. Na victim galing siya. All of them are rape victims in that center. Pero this is another story. Psychology probably can elaborate more on this. Pero kani maguguban nga victims sa rape. They thought it's natural. They love the kana bitaw sila kay nga rape. And then they felt the sensation already and they will look for it na. May nahitabo gud ani nga case sa BCIC. So pangitaon to niya, wa siya kay nga rape to. Pero iyang mother may ning complaint. So they filed a case against that guy for rape. Pagsud niya sa center, di man siya lakinon ha, pero nangita siya sa sensation kay abi lami man, gilamian man siya. I mean, we're all adults here, right? Di ba? So what we did was actually to separate them and make sure they have separate beds this time. But that's not even a guarantee yet, Vic. So dapat na atay gitawag naman tay social workers that are round the clock in that area. Dapat na agyo gabantay and CCTV cameras pod in these centers. That will be helpful. Pero naasad tayo privacy, di ba? Namatay privacy laws put to protect. No? So the CCTV can also cover only as little as, as much. No? Okay. Tungkol lagi sa privacy laws put nato, di ba? So that case actually is a typical example. We hope that the implementing rules and regulations, I think there's none pa man good, okay? So the IRR probably can do that. But like I said, sharing the experience of BIR Taguig, they already have that to make sure nobody is really harassed. And facing pagyud ni landag bitaw facing the hall. Kasagaran ang location magud sa restroom. Na-notice ninyo sa restrooms, even sa ato bitaw, di ba sa dulog yun sa tumoy, di ba? That's very dangerous, especially at night. So, ug nag-house ta og delegates, di ba? O, nag-house ta delegates, peligro na siya kaayo because, dili siya well-lighted, so you have to provide for lighting, and as much as possible, good guarded, especially for athletes. Daghang cases of athletes actually that are sent, they feel harassed. I think you know that. Daghang mga stories nga na, not even just in the Philippines, but even in the US, no? Nga ang issues galing ato, trainer pay ga-harass, di ba? See? Okay. Did that answer that question, Vic? Yes?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you so
okay.
much, ma'am. We do have a
Okay.
question from the chat box, ma'am. It's from Ma'am Pinky Rolorata. Do we have any
Yes.
shelter or temporary house for abused women and children in Tagbilaran City?
Yes, we do. It actually does not cater only to Tagbilaran. We have a Bohol Crisis Intervention Center. We cannot divulge to you the location, but it's very strategic. So if there's anybody, please let us know. We can refer you to the numbers. Okay. There's no in that center wala magud na siya signage that this is the center because some some perpetrators magud take note of that adtuon magud nila. Okay, so that's it. There is one center now. Like I said, we have 33 as of today. We have 33. 80% of them are incest cases. So sad. As early as 6 years old, they're already abused. They're in there. Yeah.
What are the necessary documents, ma'am, or requirements?
Okay. Dahil kinahanglan ta og case study, so it's best that you report to the social worker. Okay. Now, ang dilemma ani nay kasagaran manggod. This is I'll tell you the truth ha. Okay. Kasagaran manggod og government lagi ta magsalig. Government offices close at 5 p.m. right, Pinky? Di ba? So, I've encountered this in the past. So, if there's a victim that was I didn't share this information yet, but studies reveal that I don't have the figure, but close to 70% of cases actually happen during the daytime. Sa harassment ha, abi na to gabi no? So profiling sa police karon, even in crime, for criminology students here, take a look at the profile when crimes are committed. Most crimes ba are not committed during the night when we are all asleep. It happens early dawn or afternoon. So Pinky, mo ni nahitabo, no? Most harassment cases happen during the day. So inig-report ni mo dai because the center does not accept why case study. Okay?
Okay.
Illegal man po na dahil nga why case study you have to call the parents, anak bitaw, no?
Yes,
So let us know because our network mamugos gyud mi ana nila. You have to have a case study for this. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Wag gyud rason, no? Wag gyud rason dapat. So they should be open 24 hours. Yes, Pinky.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, ma'am, we
Yes.
also have a question from Dr. Rose Basileres. Ma'am Kate,
Yes,
we
yes.
have the DSWD, the JD. There's the women's desk with the PNP, the advocates. What else need to be done to contain violence against women?
Sadly, ma'am, mauni no, it's difficult to contain this because we don't have yet a lot of victims lagi remain not reporting because of the culture of dependency. Okay, so when I was still a counselor, I really lobbied for barangays. The barangay magud knows better. They really know what's happening. Ang reality lang ani ma'am, do na magoy stigma, no? Go to a barangay barangay hall now. Naa ba kay makit-an nga desk dito nga gibutang VAWC desk? They don't even put that. Kano? Kay ug naa ko nimo adto didto, i-chismis naman sa barangay, uy gikuan siguro ni siya kay ngano na ay gibutang dito VAWC desk. My point being, ma'am, is kinahanglan pag yun ta i-communicate nato ning advocacy that is protecting them. No, and dako gyud kaayong role ang social services. They have to know what these people need. Sadly lagi ma'am, it all boils down to mabasol pa ang victim. Kay nga no, ganahan siya, no? Pero musturya ka sa inahan. Moingon ang inahan, ang perpetrator laki lagi ang ambana palagi or stepfather. Ma'am, ug imong ipapriso akong ama ay ang amahan ani unsa may among kanon ug mapuhon mga ingana bitaw ma'am, no? So lisod siya i-contain ma'am because there is still this culture. It's very difficult to change. I don't think we can even change a culture, ma'am. We can probably stand or start a new culture of, standing up for our rights, and especially young women and children who are victimized. No? So we have to empower them. Even trafficking karon challenging kaayo ngano man. Kinsa may ga-traffic? Inahan man mismo. We rescued from Trinidad 2 girls. Ang problema namo ang inahan. See, we were even gipafailan pagaling mig case og kaning habeas corpus attorney kay nasuko kay gi-rescue kuno namo. But quite frankly, na-release gyud ngano man they were able to, attorney is here, no? Dili magud unta ni violence against women cases, magud harassment, di magud unta ni ma-compromise. How can you compromise the integrity of a person, right? Pero sad reality is they're able to do it out of dependency lagi. Kanilaging way kadulngan ba? No? So siguro ma'am hinay-hinay, and then let's let the young people, especially kamo students, to start talking about this and empowering your own colleagues. That daghan yun kay ni. Pero just stepping up ba? A single step hinay-hinay. Like I said mo lagi ni, how can you make this person be over herself? Unsaon na niya nga, I'm good, I'm gonna do this. Correct? Kaya katong among gi-rescue Vera, remember Vera, the one that we rescued? She had to stop schooling for 1 year. That's why when I met him in the house kay office hours, after office hours, naging mo jud ni dilemma. So man ko'y mahimo, so I sent her to the house. I interviewed her. I told her, klaro gyud akong giingon niya. Dahil mo tabang minimo, ang question nako, kaya ba ninimo panindigan? And good enough. Kaya niya. Di ba? So she stood. She was not able to attend class or school for 1 year. Di paundang siya kay ngano man. Adtuon man siya, kay pending pa man ang kaso, adtuon man siya sa inahan dito sa eskwelahan. Pasaynon man siya affidavit of desistance. A lot of, di na nagaling ni case sa BCIC, no? Naana sa sud ang bata, pending na ang case. Natinga na lang may kay nakapirma ang bata kay ngano. Kanimo mga bata nga victims, they are given normal lives, no? Ihatod ni sila sa eskwelahan, maglakaw pagaling ng uban, peligro kaayo, no? Di na gyud duhaan na nga nakapapirma gyud ang ginikanan og affidavit of desistance. I'm even questioning that because these are crimes that cannot be compromised. How can you compromise? Correct? Once integrity, there's a deeper word for that. I'm just nakalimot na ko sa tunga word. But how can you, the dignity of a person, can you compromise the dignity of a person? Mao nga ako laging advocacy karon, victim focused response na. Because it's not enough nga napapriso. What is next for the victim? Where is she now? Where is he now? Diba? Share lang ko ha. Sad reality. Naagaling victim, unsa yung trabaho karon? She's a sexual worker. Kaya nga naman, nanimaw siya. Sa iyang kapungot ba? No? Pero di na mo maundaw sa taman mo umayang ko. Di ba ni mo mapugos good? Ma'am Rose, I hope I answered your question. No? So I hope this advocacy, this fora will start, this conversation will start the young to speaking up and doing something about it. Please. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, ma'am, we also have another question from Miss Mary Florence Columnas. Is there a possibility for shelters for abused men too? I heard an accident of a man getting turned down from a shelter because of his gender or sex, despite being abused by his wife. Or are there any available resources for battered men?
This is the first question I encountered about that because very good, a very good question, very good observation. No, kinsa galing ni gasulti ani? Because I have not encountered this, but this is one of the things I wanted to expect. Because it's not true that only women are abused. Okay, daghan kaayong men, especially sa Bohol, who are abused. But most of these are actually economic and psychological. It's not so much physical. It's more economic. Okay, but anyway, there is none yet in Bohol. Okay, there is none yet in Bohol, but I wish we would have one. Wala lang yun. Reality aniday. There was one forum that I attended. No, this was the national government coming, and then they came to Bohol unsay mga needs nato. And I said, can you put up a center, kanang halfway home bitaw, for victims, because Bohol is a tourism destination. You know what that person told me? A lawyer. I will not mention the firm, the agency. That person told me, gamay pa magkaso sa Bohol, good ma'am, dili pa maka-justify og halfway home. Ako galagot yun ko sa tuba. Why? Do we have to have a minimum number of victims to set up a center? Dapat galing first step to establish a center so people know they have somewhere to go, correct? Dili nga magtipunog, oh, dapat 50 ka victim ha, aron naglagot kay ko ana gyud niya. You know what? Ingnon lang ko, adto lang nadada sa Cebu, ma'am. Kay naa na didto, naman na sa Pier 1, naman na, ha? Victim sa Bohol, dadun pag yun ako sa Cebu. Dili na galing siya safe, dili sa Bohol, unsa pa ka nang adto pa nag Cebu. I mean, how crazy. So we are looking at the private sector pulling in resources to help. So there is none yet in Bohol, but we wish. Actually, when I finished my thesis on juvenile justice, di na naman may gi-propose ni Ma'am Freda Tiro, the former board member. We already proposed, we already gave them, you know, the law, anak. But up to now, wala lang ko wala naman ko, di naman ko konsihal, di ba? Huwag yapon matukod. No, it's supposed to be a center for men. It was supposed to be established in Bilar. Up to now, wala pa. So we are hoping and praying that, you know, kay mo lagi tubagon man kag gamay pa man bitaw na, ma'am. Di ba? Maghot pa batang budaghan. Okay? So anyway, that's it. Yeah. I think I saw.
Yes, ma'am. We have a question from attorney
Yeah.
Dodalon Sabihon.
Yes.
Attorney.
Good morning, Ma'am Kit.
Good morning, sir. I'm so happy to see you here. Nawaw na hinukong samot. Nag-uol ko.
Actually, your presentation was very excellent.
Thank you,
Your opinions
sir.
are very
Thank you.
great. I only have some comment on some incidents involving women as victims.
Yes.
I think we can all agree that the solution to this nagging problem on women is a cultural revolution. I mean, there are so many things that we need to do, especially on gender sensitivity, as you mentioned earlier, and the inability or the hesitancy on the part of the victim to report, probably because of strong religious influence, probably because of economic consideration, like women lack the economic power to really stand on their own.
Yes.
And also, I think there is lacking of legal infrastructure, because locally, I don't know if we have a very ample legal infrastructure, laws, ordinances that deal with this.
Yeah.
I would like to comment on the matter discussed earlier on gender sensitivity. And I think this is also a matter which needs to be talked about. Even when we apply in government positions, even I think when we apply for enrollment, we are asked, what is your sex, male or female?
Yeah.
In law, there are
Yes.
only two sexes, either male or
Yes.
female.
Or
If we are
female.
too gender sensitive, why don't we ask the gender so we can choose between male, female, LGBT, lesbian, etc.
Yes. Yes.
In other
Yes.
words, even in this kind of activity enrollment in school, in applying for position in the government, in
Yes.
filling up forms, I think there should be instilled in our am
Yeah.
I heard?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are very much. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Somebody just
Yes.
text me.
You're clear. Basig iyang ko answer. Yes.
How about this one?
Yes, you're good. You're good, sir. Yes, sir.
I think there should be a, not just a piecemeal solution. Like when somebody is reporting, that is when we act. Palliative measures are good only temporarily, but what we need is actually cultural revolution, the minds of the people,
Yes.
how we treat others. Because after
Yes.
all, it is true, as man, I really care for women because they are one of the most vulnerable sectors in the community. But I think with how we respond also as the community, we can help.
Yes.
The one that you
Yes.
talked
Yes,
about
sir.
earlier, ma'am, for police who are very
Yes.
insensitive, I think there is a program now with the Philippine National Police on the matter. What we need is to support them, maybe
Yeah.
educate them or reach out to them, because sometimes, you know, if there are, if the community is not so or is so reluctant to reach out for these things, then we might as well be left out. So
Yes.
for criminology in HNU, I think I am proposing that this be one of the major topics for research. And this is a
Yes.
very good topic for qualitative research because you can also
Yes.
deal more with the very experiences of those involved victims or probably the perpetrators.
Yes, sir.
That will be all
Yes.
now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. May I know, actually, I'm so happy that Dr. Nanone, Attorney Sabion is with us. He is one of the, actually, one ay magbola-bola, sir, tinuod magud po ni, because when I was still a counselor and there was a legal case, a very prominent legal case in the city, he offered his services for free. And it actually, sir, spurred some cultural revolution there that it can be done. Correct? Pero murag nawa naman sa sir. But thank you for that. No, he's one of the very selfless lawyers that I know. Anyway, let me point out 3 things, sir, sa imong comment. It's very true, sir. Firstly, sa women's desk bitaw, sir. I handled a SOG training for women's desk officers all over the province. And you know what? It was sad because even 2 female officers who handle women's desk were crying because they have issues also. Kanabitang sir, they're also stereotyped to be tomboy siguro ni nga na bitaw, sir. They're also feeling that because naapalagi problema gyud sa consciousness sa tao and then how to break this stereotyping. But it's true, there is a program. Ang ako galinggi ko, ni sir, when I spoke to the women's desk, I told them, nganong kinahanglan man nga amulingkod sa women's desk are female officers? Why cannot a male officer, if we are gender sensitive, correct? Because I always believe the better advocates for women's rights are the men. Diba, sir? I mean, maunay, but I think I don't share that with the rest. But I'm hoping kay ingon ko nga, gender sensitive nga naman, kay nga no, sir, there are a lot of female officers that are also not comfortable with the positions that they have. No, first, no gina, sir. And then second, kaning mo apply ka, napamaghapon ni when you apply for a position or government and private. Karon, sir, dili na nila ibutag sex dito. Kay they think it is doing the justice na to the law. What they put is gender. Ipa-identify gyud po ang gender, no? Pero ang choices nila sa gender is still male, female. That's still sex, correct? Kay umingo ka og gender, identity man yun na, correct? Pero ang imong choice is male, female, gihapon ka. See? So wala gihapon agasibo. Mingon bitaw ko, I think they're losing they're not seeing the sight here. I mean, seeing the sense here. Nga, they put gender lagi kay di na is sex pero male female gihapon ang question. But I asked the question ana sir, nganong di man gyud na pwede nga tangtangon na lang na all together. When you apply for a position, you're taken in for your credentials, not for your sex, di ba? But they say they're using this data for sex disaggregated data also. So I said, can you not do it later on? Diba? Kaya napag-iuban karon sir nga, even firms who put there preferably male, nagya po na. So, pero hinay-hinay lang siguro because not too many actually, because like Attorney Sabihon said, cultural revolution, manggod ni, I already said, lisod i-change ang kultura. So it's difficult to change because if you change something, it's kind of stereotypical nga, you break something, correct? So the young people can probably create a new generation. We are here to inspire you that you can create, but please create one. Let's not change anything. Let's create a new culture, a new revolution, correct? Diba? So, and then finally, sir, tinuod yun to. Religious, economic, a lot of factors. So with people, kanilang, ang mga victims manggod nga magpahilom-hilom lang. They just need somebody to support them. No? But the center can only do as much. You know, daghan po kaingtid ka mo lagi na kinanglan pag nakay case study, daghan po kaayong formality. So that is why ako galing ug mahimo lang private-led yun yung initiative ha. Correct? Because it's really, if you pull in a lot of, if you pull in the private sector, no vested interest at all. No, bisag gamayng budget will bring you to somewhere else. Pero magsalig lang gitas government. Let us support government because they can only do as much. Their budget is only as much. But centers can, yung sa Cebu ang sa Cebu manggod, they have a lot of centers and those that are very, very effective are the privately owned centers. They have that. No? Sa ato government gihapon na siya. No? So but we can start there. So this is a cultural revolution. I'd like to agree there because this mindset magud ni good. But hinay-hinay. Kamo, the young people, you don't consider yourselves my age, right? So unsay tawag ninyo millennial, unsa pa mo mga Gen Z, anak bitaw. Be that generation now. Break barriers. We are giving you the laws. Hinahinayan ni natong implement. And then for you who want to be like me in the past na kunsihal, review the laws. If it is not, you know, it's not realistic at this time, it's not evidence-based anymore, then review it. That's the law. That's the role of the legislators. So Pol-Sci students especially, hammer on your political, you know, go to City Hall and say, oy, mga kuan mo diha, mga konsehal, kani sir, outdated na ni nga balaod. Can we? I mean, let's start this. And then we can do it. I mean, we can help you. We can provide you with assistance, whatever you need to reach out because we want the young people to be speaking now. Because this is kami, inahinay naman lang mi, no? Magtiguang naman mi. We've lived our kuan already. So kamo, you're still going there. And you don't want more victims. Because the more victims, the cycle goes on. Diba? So that is it. Let us not change anything. Let's create a new one. Okay? Thank you so much, Attorney Sabihon. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. We also have a comment that will somehow connect to the points raised by Attorney Sabihon. It is from Keats Ronquillo. What more needs to be done are men allies who will call out other men who think harassment is normal. Guys who will not laugh at sexist jokes and remarks. So adto jud murag igo jud kay nga statement, ma'am. Adto jud ako na nakabantay man pug ko, ma'am, good nga. Kasagaran advocates are female. Gamay ra jud kog nailhan nga advocate ani ma'am nga laki. So mo to yung comment na.
There is a best practice, Vic, no, in the advocacy. This is the one in Davao, okay? Ang Davao, a few years back dugay-dugay na ni siya. But they created kaning mga bugoy ba, mga actually perpetrators, no? Okay, gihab sila. Pagkahuman, you know what? Duterte was still the mayor of Davao. He created a program. They call themselves, di ba, ang women, W-O-M-E-N, correct? The spelling of women, W-O-M-E-N. Their group, they called W-E, okay, space M-E-N. They called themselves We Men Can. No? W-E-C-A-N, W-E-M-E-N-C-A-N. So ang advocates dito, mag-upa man napasar ato ang Magna Carta of Women. Ang nag-espouse sa Magna Carta of Women were the former male perpetrators. Gitrain sila sa administration sa kanhina Mayor Duterte. And it was one of the best applauded programs. It was very effective. Imagine ang mga bugoy nga mga kuan, no? Pag humag-rehab ba, giingnan sila, oh, come on inyong buhaton ha. So they created We Men Can. Why not? Di ba? Tinood kay kami bitaw women. Kami bitaw, di ba Women's Month March? Di ko kalimot ani nga. Wato kita ko sa kalungsod niya. Mingon itaw ng mga kuan ng mga laki bitaw hasta ng driver gud nako mingon nga. Unsa na po na Ma'am Kit? Women na pud na. Magunsa na mapud mo magsayo-sayo na pud mo. Ano bitaw? You know, there has to be some sense of accountability, which means that programs should not be just for the sake of, di ba? But that's the reality. Mag-liquidate na og budget for gender and development tanawa bisa adtoon pa ninyo na karon be unsa nila pag-liquidate meals gyud na kay ngano man Women's Month naman nagigasto, no? Meals ba nga nangaon nag-party is that what we need, no? Oh, maingon itaw na inighuman. Mama, manguli na ta, ma'am. Kay taga lungsod ba? Ma'am, mahimo mahuman na taga alas 4. Ngano man? Ma'am, hang bana, ma'am, uli na ra ba to, ma'am? Ingko nga habay no nananghid mo nga Women's Day karon. Okay. Ma'am, magluto na mi. Dili pwede na mga laki pud mo, di ba? Di ba? I mean, you know, so wala pa gyud ang consciousness ba? Let's true good, sir. Sabihon no nga kuwang pa gyud kay sensibility magud ni how we were raised, no? Paternalistic. But, you know, we can start from where we are now. Consciousness that, you know, it is respecting others. And then the person, one's identity, one's dignity. That's so, so important. Diba? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. We also have a question from Miss Apple Arcamo. Do victims rescued receive psychological help or counseling? And in relation to the abusers, what can we do about them aside from pressing charges or legal action? As I understand, there are some victims who do not have the resources for this.
Yes, yes. Actually, Apple, there's a very, very beautiful question. Tinuod na day. It's sa kakuwangan nila. The sad reality, Apple, is they don't come forward because of the sense of dependency lagi. Okay? The worst case I encountered was even a lolo of 70 raping a 6-year-old grandchild. And then naglisod sila hawa. Why? Because their house is actually owned by the grandfather. We filed the case, but we know this lawyer, di ba lawyers, di ba ko lawyer? When you reach 70, di ba sir, i-post gihapon ng penalty, pero dili na siya mapriso, di ba? So exempting. Pero kato nga case, gi-rescue na mo, and then we made sure na ang father o mother sa bata makatrabaho. So gi-introduce na mo sa simbahan, di na may NGO to gi-referan, aron maka-file lang sila case. So kakuwangan gyuday, no? So what can regarding psychological help? Ang sad reality day is even medical. 2 years ago, I visited the center because my daughter wanted to volunteer. So we did laboratory tests. No, kanto gikuan na mo and then gi-check up na mo and then you know kuwang pagyuday, and there is actually a doctor assigned, pero on call lang ba when you need it. But I think that's it's very, very helpful because they need to talk to somebody while there. That's why I actually personally and my friends, we do this because we know these young children need attention. No, they need somebody to talk to. So if you have time in the future, kay karon bawal pa man, you cannot go there. You can visit them, play. You know, I've even played volleyball with them. No, we did some, you know, cross-stitching, gitudluan na mo. Because they need this. Psychological, it's not kuwang pagyuday. I would like to believe that. So if HNU can probably help your organization, please, because they welcome that. And I will, you know, link you to the people. Ang among grupo, we just provide them emotional support, sometimes physical, you know, support us like food, padadaan mo snacks, sing ana lang ginagmay, no? But if you can make a visit mo, tanawan ninyo what they need. Before, bawal ang mga laki mo sulod. But slowly, ingon mi, it cannot be done nga ing ana. Kaya naman po'y ganahan mo tabang ang mga laki. So hinay-hinay, no? You can spend an afternoon with them because I think more than anything, ang ilang magong problema is they're away from their homes, no? Kaya ang perpetrator lagi kasagaran ani are in their homes. So mauna, they need to talk to somebody. There's even one case, Apple, that I referred to. She was made the subject of a thesis of one education major student. No nga, when she was raped, she was like, di po insane yun dahil kanang, mentally challenged child. She was raped and then mo lagi na ganahan siya sa sensation, the one I mentioned to you, no? So makalit lang na siya duol sa gwardya, mao ni nga gibawal na pud namo nga lalaki ang gwardya kay iya manggaksunday unya iyang irab ang iyang kuan, kay gipangita niyang sensation kay wala lagi siya buot, no? And then when my students did a study on her, we visited her in the town that she went to. Naluoy me, and my students showed me a picture kay she called me ate already, murag na close ako sa bata ba. And gipusasan na bitaw siya, mura bitaw siya iro dai kadinahan kay ngano. Mulakaw lagi siya kay mangita og ka-enkwentro kay ganahan lagi siya sa feeling. No? So actually sad lang kaayo kay dugay po siya gilaygay, kuwang lagi og attention ang LGU ba, no? So gusto magud nga before she's released from the center, gi-release to siya dai because what gyud ang case di na ma-file kay she cannot testify in court. Mao pud ni sad reality, sir, sabihon kay kinahanglan magud nila ang testimony sa victim, but she was a special child, no? So gipauli siya, luoy gyud kayo gikandenahan na gyud siya, gikandinahan siya kay ngano, and then karon nabuntis man siya. And then the child is now taken care of by the grandmother because the mother is not supporting her. It's the grandmother pa. I mean, these are sad realities. We can only do as much magud kay pila ra mga advocates bitaw. So I hope there's a lot of kind hearts here. You don't need money to support these people. Just, put your minds together, hearts together, and then put up something very bisag alumni ninyo, inyong batch, that you can help a lot of people. And like Attorney Sabion said, you can do this as your dissertation, your thesis. I always encourage my students to go to these things because these are, the grim realities of life. That you can really see the theories that you do, di ba? Inyo gitun-an nga mga theories, mga philosophies din ha, ma-apply yun ninyo sa reality. Di ba? So, you can still do a lot, guys. So please, if you have the time, no? Let us know. I can give you the contact person because she's still the one there now because they really need a lot of help. Yeah, especially from young people like you. Ganahan kay sila ug mga bata. When I go there, I bring my children. Kaya kung ako lang, feeling nila nanay ra magulpog ko, di ba? So, ganahan sila kaedad nila. No? So, ganahan sila mag-istorya. So, please, be the artist that they need.
Yes. Ma'am, we also have a question from Professor J. Jordanita Obenza. Hi, ma'am. If the victim is a minor or is determined to file a case but the parents are hesitant, can the case proceed without the parents' consent or support?
Yeah. Actually, Dai, kami sa BCIC, we do that. Bisag dili mo sugot mo, ni kasagaran lagi na mo kalaban are the parents. So, himuan siya case study. So, i-consider siya as a rescued victim. No? Na ay lawyer gyud anak niya, so pwede ra siya even without the parents' consent. Why? One man siya. I mean, it's covered. They're guaranteed that also. Kaya lang mo lagi na mihira gyud nga mo prosper bitaw vic. No, di gyud daghang kaayong kaso din nga di gyud mahuman. And then paulion na lang kay ngano. I don't know, technicality magud sir, this happened to us, no? The lawyers who are here with us na naglibog bitaw mi sir kay didto siya sa sud. Nakapirma affidavit of desistance kay gihapit dito sa school nga gikuan niya. Kami nga advocates mura mig manghinayang bitaw ngano man na. No? So I mean, di man gud unta na pwede, but they're able to do it. No? So sa the legal infrastructure that Attorney Sabuin was talking about, we need that. We really need that very much. No? So, pwede ra na siya madayon, madayon na siya, kay amo man gyud nang i-certify as really a rescued case. Himuan gyud na siya case study. Kasagaran gyud nga naa din na nga mga minor, wa gyud nay tubot. Pero napoy uban anak mo pud nga neighbor, no? Pwede ra ang mother mo laban. Pero kasagaran kung stepfather ang kuan, wa. So, pwede ra na siya kuan mahimuan na siyang documents, nga gi-rescue siya, ana no? So himuan case study, pwede ra siya.
Yes, ma'am. We also have a comment, another comment from Keats
Can I add to that?
Roncillo.
If I
Ay,
may?
sorry.
Can I add to
Yes.
that, ma'am?
Oh yes, attorney.
For-
Yes, attorney.
I think insofar as those rescued victims are concerned, especially minors, if that is already declared rescued, I think the center can apply to
Yeah,
the court
represents.
for
Yes,
appointment as guardian, so that
yes,
all
yes.
the activities are being supervised.
Yeah.
And even
Yes.
parents cannot anymore intrude into the custody like that. So the best
Yes,
legal
sir.
arsenal is for the center to apply in court, for the center to be appointed as the guardian of the
Guardian.
child.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, I think that's what's being done, sir. Yes, that's what's being done. Yes. Mhm.
Thank you for that, Attorney Sabihon. We have a comment from Kate Ronquillo. Once again, Ma'am Kate. There should be an
Yes.
orientation with the nuances of SOGI.
Sochi. Yes. Yeah, we believe so, Kit. No, kinahanglan na siya. That's actually one of the steps that we need to take. Awareness good. Awareness level, kinahanglan i-increase nato, especially amongst you students. And then kamo na force multipliers bitaw you relate to your colleagues, your friends, and there is a need to. Because wala pa gyud, pamasabti kung sa gyud ni siya. Even amongst us advocates, daghan pagaling mga gray areas, especially on implementation. We even differ in a lot of things. No, so mao lagi na parisagi ni Attorney Sabuyon. There's a way, no, mo na apply kag legal guardian. That's actually what the center does. Pero mao lagi sir, mao gito among experience ngano man gyud nga nakapapirma, mao gyud among gikuan bitaw. I mean, and then they even got good lawyers to do it for them. There's even one instance that I spoke to the center nga abot pa na suko pa kay ko adto kay ngano wa mi gi-inform kay supposed to be kung dunay ing ana i-inform man gud mi nga kami mo ga refer. We should have been informed of the actions, but we learned later na release na ang bata. Am I still here? Did you lose me?
Yes, sir, now.
Oh yes,
You're here.
Vic. Okay. Because I think Vic is wala nawa ning hang si Vic. Oh, okay. Yeah. Sige. So we do need that. So probably in one of the activities, you can even host it, no, sa mga organizations ninyo. We can get resource persons. Lagi na siya, no, so that we increase awareness at least. Yes. Vic? Are you still there, Vic? Murag si Vic di ang nawa. Di day ako. Okay. Okay. I'm reading something here. Dehumanizing or being blamed as victims is one of the factors that hinders victims to participate. This is very true, RPSY. No, that is why we advocates now are hammering on a victims-focused response to gender-based violence. Because kanunay gyud na nga, feeling lagi na human na kung ma-file ang case, no? Na adto na sa korte nga na. But the victim, where is he or she now? No, importante po na gyud kaayo. Yeah. Okay, what do we have here? Sige. Sheena is here. Any advice on what to do about students who have been sexually harassed by their teachers? Like, for example, getting a failing grade for a refusal to engage in a sexual activity, huh? Epic good from someone I know. He eventually just re-enrolled the subject few years ago. First step really is supposed to complain. No, we have our guidance office. No, we have our CODI in the university. Or dili gyud human naman day ni she, no, he already left. He would have complained. to the school. This is a typical case. The applicable case here, or law actually, is not the law 11313. It is still 7877. Now this falls within the sexual harassment law on imbalance of power. Now the power of the professor over the student. This is so sad. No? Yeah, I've heard stories, but wala pa yun come up and complain bitaw. So a brave heart can probably start this, changing what we need to change, correct? Oh no, not changing the eye, creating what we need to create, correct? So you need to be brave. I mean, you know, kay what ay buhaton lagi ani, it can happen to anybody. Ya ikaw nga victim, mo lagi ni among study na amo culture on a cycle of violence. It's either you do it or you just tolerate it and be the victim forever. No. So even leaving, getting away from it, it's not the solution. You have to deal with it for this to stop. You are not just doing a favor to yourself or doing justice to yourself. You're even giving a favor to everybody else, because if you don't stop this, it can be done. And it can happen, like I said, to any. I'm not saying it's happening in just 1 year. It's all over. When I went to college, I almost was a victim. Kaysa amo, safe spaces, wa pa maguni mapasar. I went to Diliman for a year, so I was there. And then, kinito mga babae, abi na mo gipanghagbong me, kay wa mi kapasar. But, you know, the faculty room ang dito sa Diliman, I don't know if it's changed now. One professor, one classroom, one office. So it's closed, and closed pag yun na kahoy, no, all over. So nobody sees you from outside. And then I was one of those kay kuan mo sa to civic, nakalimot ko sa subject. It was even a pol sci major subject. Naglinya mi daghan yung mga babae kay pag-report to ni sa among professor. Nya ako, it was my turn, almost my turn. It was already 5 o'clock and stick to makayang akong anting, akong gipuy-an. I have to leave pa man the campus and go to teacher's village. So I left, niko, ugma na ko mubalik. You know what, guys? It saved me. Why? Wala ko mubalik, wala ko ganahin nga, nagdudag yung ko ba? Kay nobody can see you from outside. Mura dyan may pa clinic ug doktor kay sa amin pa, di ba? You know what? A few days after that, I read in the news there was a sexual harassment case against the professor. No? So safe spaces. Make sure you're sa ato may problema kay makita man ta, di ba? But as Sheena is telling us here, even in open spaces, in presumably safer spaces, it can still happen. Kaya niya magyo yung mga ganahan dyan mabuhat, di ba? Nobody can stop them. So ikaw dapat step ahead ka. Dili lagi ka. I mean, you know, it's still mindsetting here. If you don't do anything about it, you're not good giving yourself justice, and you're not doing everybody else a favor, because it can still be done. It can be done to anybody. See? So create something, guys. Okay. Okay, very good. He's a professional now. Oh my God, no? Clear, positive consent. That's so true, kids. No? And I think bottom line here is loving yourself, right? You've got to love yourself enough to be able to stand and protect yourself from anything. Sa yun kay isulti, no? No? Ako no? I'd like to share with you an experience of mine. I love to share this because, like I said, it can happen to anyone. I used to be a politician, di ba? Okay. During the campaign in 2013, of course, sige magkumusta, di ba? Kasi ba may kumusta bisag asa, no? Karon may galing kay social distancing na, pero wala po kumulangsan na, mayroon po, no? Anyway, you know what? Musulti pag yung ko ninyo, ani mo share yung ko ninyo, simbahan pag yung ko dito, di lang ko moingon kung sa klaseng simbahan na, kada kami ang simbahan, right? I was in one church, shake hands. Somebody shook my hand, and you know what? Shake nga na, no? Giingana ko, oh. Nanimbaut gid akong balhibo. Ako nga advocate, I could not even do something at that moment. At that moment, kinsa man kita kaging ko, simbahan pag yun. No? Magkita ko may aning tawhana ron, sipatan ko na nako kay he knows. I you know, tiguang nagalingkuhan pila tuig adto, pila 2013 to. Giing anak ko pag shake hands. Hingkaging ko, I cannot do anything. After that, I left from Manila for a seminar. Wagi ko mahiluna sa seminar. Ni kuni ay advocate o labaw po ning taslakan, no? But you know, I had to do something when I got home. Wa ko mo complain niya, but I asked a friend of mine to put us in the same room, and I spoke to him. Magkita mi karon, mubaw na nagyud siya nako. Bantay ka buang. you know? Mukaging galing ko ha. Nga I'm aware. But di lang ako ibalita na kay basin po nadapon ni nag-political ko ani mileage ani nga victim na pud siya, no? Lisod kaayo man nangingana, but I dealt with him. I just hope he did not have the nerve to do it to anybody else because he did it to me. No, kapag now bitaw day. Di ba? It can happen to anyone, so please let us do something. Okay. Sample lang ni mga kauban na ay basa. I cannot read it now. It's gone. Vic, there's a message here.
I'm really sorry about that, ma'am. I had some
That's okay.
connectivity
Yeah, I
issues.
thought I was the one. Yeah, okay. We already did the reading of the questions. There's another one that I'm reading. Are unsolicited texts or messages that are not sexually harassing in nature still a form of? Yes, Doy. Anything that that makes you uncomfortable. Okay? But has something to do with kung siguro kuan lang na nga buluka ka oy this and that will belong to this law. Okay? It falls under something else. But if it's sexually gender-based, man good Doy, gender-based. Okay? Yeah. Actually, it depends good na sa sensitivities nato, no? Kay there are cases nga mas grabe, wa siya mo complain. Kay nga okay na niya. Pero na ay igo ra bitaw hipo-hipoon, no? He filed siya complaint, it prospered. So actually kung kung dili sexually harassing, it belongs under a different law. Okay? I think if I'm not mistaken, di ba ko lawyer, no? Siguro unjust vexation, I don't know if that falls there. No, but this one is gender-based violence. Or catcalling nga na doy. Sample lang ning mga kauban og trabaho sa school, ma'am, nga tigpangharas sa mga female. Actually, no, dili ni siya incumbent. Mauni kalami aning safe spaces law, not kalami, no, but protecting. Kaysa una magod ang general sexual harassment law, katulaging work-related, di ba, na ay influence of power. Kaning safe spaces, anybody, pwedeng faculty to faculty, student to student, pwede kaayo. Pwede gali ng student to professor, di ba? Naman po na, nahitabo na ba na? No? Pero na yung ubang professor kasi feel, okay na po kayo, gwapa pa na ipog ko. Joke ha? Kaya actually, this really depend upon your sensibilities. No? Okay. Subjective yun ni siya kaayo. But at least, it gives us protection. That nobody, like I said lagi, a student of mine came to me bitaw, yung siya nga, ma'am, naglagod ko anang gwardya. Bago pa niya, when face-to-face pa ta, 2019. Naglagod ko sa gwardya, ma'am, kay gibadlong ko, ma'am. No, nagibadlong makaday. Nubo ko no kaya akong sayal. Niya nalagi ko amiga, ma'am. Kaya ka na bitong magkuan mo, mag-civilian na bitaw mo. Wednesday ba to, di ba? Oo. Labon to, kung amiga, ma'am, wala gibadlunga, day. Wala gibadlunga, ma'am. Ningon ko niya, day. Salamat ka, day. Basi guwapa ka, day. Kaya lami makatanawon, di ba? So, ang gwardya ba, udi angayan, di. So, ko attention. But anyway, that was not really harassing. Gibadlong na siya, di ba? So subjective yun po na. It really depends upon. No? So ang key ani is ikaw na tao. If it is insensitive, sexually harassing to you, it's harassment to you, then go. Have the nerve because probably you are saving somebody else's. Correct? No? Pero wala na ng cycle ba? Mawala ang cycle, maputol siya. Okay? Sige. Anything else?
Yes, napabatay mga pangutana. Do we still have any questions to raise na? This is your time to ask Ma'am Kit. No, let us not waste the the chance to ask Dr.
I
Oppus
ask more.
about it. Well,
Can
yes.
you check the Facebook messages or comments?
Okay.
Because there might be questions there.
Okay, ma'am. For a while, ma'am.
No problem. Ikaw naman ang tinatawagan ko eh.
Vic, can I ask?
Yes, sir. Yes, attorney.
Is this also an advocacy at HNU, ma'am? Or
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You
Yes,
have
sir.
a
It is.
center. You have a center.
It's actually
for-
covered by, yes, it's covered by the Student Affairs Officer and our guidance office. Yes.
Okay. And I think
Yes,
also,
sir.
ma'am, if the research office could also put this as one of the major agenda for research,
Yes.
particularly in criminology, ma'am, I would like to see this
Yes.
adopted by the criminology.
Yes, sir.
Because almost, I mean, 80% of the crime students are men. And
Man. Yes, yes.
if they adopt this kind of advocacy, I think in their service in the future,
Yes.
we can also be part of the
Yes.
solution to this.
Yes, sir. Actually, sir, it's offered as a, if I'm not mistaken, it's a free elective or even a Pulsai elective sa Pulsai program. So probably while we, is this another week? It is free elective, no? I think sa Pulsai. No, it's one of the choices. So siguro we can lobby na ma-appeal good siya, and then iusa lang siya sa gender and development, because that will be all encompassing all of these related laws, because I would like tinuod na no kinahanglan gid nato ang awareness aning a level sa especially sa atong career students, because they will be in the front lines in the future. Tinuod gyud kayo sa importante gyud kayo, sir, kay naa pa gyud gihapon gyud ng kultura lagi nga maluoy ka sa victim, baga off shoulders lang tong biktima, badlungon na, no? Naara ba si Stalo kay off shoulder ba ni? Ana bitaw, sir, kanang naa pag yun ng ngano di ay kung guwapa ko, does that give anybody the benefit of, is that an open invitation? It's not supposed to be. Even men, no, kamo, if you dress up something, managdudahan mo yan, bitaw niya, somebody approaches you. I mean, even women can harass you. There are cases, women professors harassing their students. Male to male, pwede sa na siya. Admin to male, student, pwede na anybody, even security guards. No? This happened once. I know this because this was reported to me. Dinhay bata nato sa high school before that came to my office when I was still health and safety officer. Yung complaint siya, kay gisugsug siya sa mga gwardiya. And kanang ingon bitaw, uy, guwapa ana bitaw, singkas guwapa bitaw. Ka ana bitaw. And she was really brave enough to complain. I called the attention of the chief security. I said, you cannot do that. No? That's harassment. Wala pa galing mapasar ning 11313 at the time. She was really brave enough kay she was so uncomfortable ba nga mulabay ko siya. Ay, guwapa, kumusta ka ana bitaw? And she didn't like it. No? So she reported to the office, and we called the attention of the chief security. So awareness level we have to, because this is protecting, like I said, you can be saving yourself, saving a neighbor, saving a friend, or saving even your sister or your mom. No, even mothers can be victims. Dili niya siya exclusive. Katong gi-complain katong sa DPWH at I handled, mother to siya by a neighbor sa ilang condominium. See? So you have to step up. You have to really step up. Yes.
Ma'am, we have a comment from the Facebook live, ma'am. This is from
Yes.
Ma'am Rose Sabihon Rara. She commented
Yes, Ma'am
here.
Rose. Hi. Yeah.
Yeah, siya, ma'am. In an academic forum such an oral defense hearing, discrimination on gender sensitivity can also happen just because my study used the feminism theory. One of the panelists smirked and said that feminista day ka, ma'am, wanting equality with men. Do you think you can do what men does? I am pointing this out because I agree with Attorney Sabihon's proposition that this advocacy really requires a major transformation of mindset, a cultural revolution indeed. Moyang gingon, ma'am.
That's true. That's very sad, Ma'am Rose, no? But it's really true. Just presenting your perspective, your own perspective. Na, ma'am, there was even one time, ma'am, na I attended a forum before the Department of Labor and Employment. I was just one of the participants. And when it was my turn, he was seated beside me. He was one, I forgot now what agency he represented. I was not yet in the academe. And then, when I presented my case, and this the gentleman, abi niya ganahan ko, ma'am, I said my piece, and then all of a sudden he said, no? Oh, I never thought there's something between those ears. Giingnan ko, ma'am. Because talking sensibly, they think magod women cannot talk sensibly enough. Giingnan ko, in front of everybody, Ingon siya, I never thought there was something between those ears. kung ako lang, kanabitaw akong tanaw sa kung galing pagwapa lang ba, no? Nya, yung smile siguro ko ato ma'am, I felt so embarrassed and so harassed. Ako giingnan ang kuan mo facilitate. Can you please call the attention of people who do not understand what's between those ears? Ganakot ko ma'am. I mean, they think magod women, I mean, actually ma'am, sa totoo lang, maubitaw ni nga, very few advocates remain. Because a lot of those paternalistic, what you call them, think women are so dumb. Diba? That's why we have to step this up. Why? They think we're just saying, oh, maingong nila na sila, kamong mga babae mo, mapukod problema ninyo kay pa-special attention kunuta. Okay? And I said, we are not calling attention to ourselves. We are just expressing what we deserve. Diba? I mean, dili pwede nga pa itoy-itoy lang. I mean, you know, you cannot say anything. And then when you say I'm a feminist, that you're entitled to that. Yeah, that's your perspective, correct? And actually, ma'am, naamo ko'y daghan sa academic institutions po, ma'am, na dili yun as sensitive po. So dili lang siguro ni himuon og curriculum, ma'am, sa academic program, no? Dapat faculty dev appeal, di ba? Everybody, institutional wide yun siguro ni siya. But we will see. We'll start with the syllabus, probably, revising. Naaman sa CAS, naaman ni siya gender and development. So we can do that. Pero amang goy takers, mas ganahan mo guni sila obligations and contracts. I discussed this, pero may takers and gender and development, oy. So if it's not, then let's do something else, ma'am. Let's not stop there. I mean, pwede na gender and sexuality in psychology. Okay, good. Yeah. And then I think muna, psychology, you better understand this, no? And then let's share this with those in policy sa Polsai, kay mo man mga future nato nga legislators. So lami magud na nga nay policy nga makabasa bitaw ka sa social dimension gud niya, psychological dimension, all these perspectives, di ba? Aron masud nato. Di kani gali nga balaod, no? I'm quite sure kaning aning instances never happened in 2019 lang. Dugay raman ni even before the passage of the Magna Carta of Women, di ba? Pero tan-awan ninyo ang atong mga balaod, reactive kaayo, di ba? So, kani nga tuig na may mga LGBTQ nga ning saba, then nagpass na pud og safe spaces, di ba? Lami gyud siguro kung policy. I'm talking as a Polsai kuan ba? Practitioner mo kaniadto. Lami atong balaod nga karyot sa before ta mo pasa lingkod sa unta unsa magyud, no? And database, and this is where the academe can come in, because a lot of politicians do not even look at data, correct? What's popular, they do something, right? So I'm talking about this as a Polsai, no, nga di ba naidaghang balaod a reaction to something, pero dili siya sustainable, dili siya madugay kay ngano something comes up, di ba? Naagaling mga palisiya nga we passed before 2019 about disaster, nganong giusog man na karon kay wa gyoy sustainable program. Wa una-una ang future ba? Present ba? Di ba? So dapat yung database, data driven. So the academe can provide us with that. Yeah. Sige.
Do we have
Thank you, Ma'am
any?
Rosa, for participating. Yeah.
Yes.
Sige.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Do we have any questions raised? Pa, kailangan pa na to i-raise. Do you have any questions?
I think we're almost out of time. We're 11:50
Yes, ma'am.
already, no?
Yes,
So we
ma'am.
don't want to spoil their lunch. We
Yes,
are not,
ma'am.
because we are not offering lunch. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. I hear none.
Yes.
So let's proceed to the next juncture of our program, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
So,
Thank you.
yes, ma'am. All right. Indeed, it was a very healthy discussion. And we can assure you, Ma'am Keith, that all of the learnings that you were able to partake for us will be remembered for life. So at this juncture, we would like to call upon Miss Crystal Makabahog for the awarding of certificates. For a while. Okay, here we have it. There. Okay, I'll think I'll do the honors, ma'am. Certificate of appreciation is given to Dr. Anne Mariquit D. Oppus JD for her invaluable time and expertise as resource speaker for the celebration of Holy University in the 8th day campaign to end violence against women, which emphasizes RA 11313, or the Safe Spaces Act, with the slogan Filipino Marespeto, Safe Spaces Kasali Tayo. Given this 9th day of December 2021 via Zoom, signed by Dr. Ramon Boloran, Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences. Thank you so much, Ma'am Kate. We will be
Thank
sending
you.
this,
Thank
ma'am,
you
to
very
your
much.
email,
Thank you.
ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. So we have come to an end, but before that, let us call upon the Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, our very own, Dr. Ramon Boloran, LLB, for his closing remarks. Take the floor.
Thank you very much, Vicky. Thank you, everyone. So may I greet everyone a pleasant morning, especially to our dear students, our colleagues in the College of Arts and Sciences, and of course, to our highly esteemed resource speaker this morning, Dr. Anne Mariquit Derequito Oppus. Being safe from what and safe for whom? These are critical questions that have been talked about by our speaker in this online conversation. I call this as an online conversation. So in my closing remark, let me highlight the points that had been talked about earlier, and let me do this by sharing with you a story. And this is a story that all can relate to because this happens in an educational setting. 3 students had filed complaints against a particular professor. The first student had complained that during a recitation in class, she had asked the professor, "Come again, sir?" And the professor replied, "Do you want me to come again? Give me 5 minutes." The second student claimed that the professor would send her text messages that said, "I love you and I miss you." And the third student revealed the same professor had shown her a picture of a naked woman. According to the professor respondent, because this was brought to Supreme Court, the "come again" remark was just his way of using slang language, while the "I love you, I miss you" messages were just friendly messages. He further claimed that his showing a picture of a naked woman was never to humiliate the student. What did the Supreme Court say? The Supreme Court barred the professor from teaching for 10 years and a 10-year suspension for verbal sexual harassment. That was the story. Dr. Anne Mariquit Oppus in her talk provided us with the law and the facts about gender-based sexual harassment. The points that have been talked about would include, she said, the Safe Spaces Act is not fully enforced, and it protects everyone from sexual harassment, both in physical and online spaces. The law is strict on all forms of gender-based sexual harassment, and gender-based sexual harassment need to be stopped everywhere, in the workplace, in school, in public places, and online. Holy University joins the 18-day campaign to end violence against women and, of course, children. Why? Because in gender-based sexual harassment issues, the school, this is the stand of the school, can never be insular. The school is part of society, and in an increasingly polarized climate, controversial issues in contemporary society will often be perceived as controversial classroom practice. While the change of mindset, I would agree with Dr. Dude Sabihon and Dr. Kitrongilio that the mindset won't happen overnight. Agencies, advocates, NGOs are geared up to implement the law until the change materializes. For change to be positive, we need to have more discussions more conversations such as this to raise awareness about gender-based sexual harassment. And I would say, Ma'am Kit, today is the start of the journey. Let me quote a line from Helen Keller. Alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. I would emphatically say that we can dramatically multiply our chances for success to make a positive change happen when we work in collaboration with others. Studies show that one of the three sources of success is having meaningful connections. As we mark the end of the 18-day campaign to end violence against women and children, I wish to commend you all for having made time out of your busy schedules to attend this symposium. It is no secret that the success of this symposium is through the active participation, and I would like to mention our BS Scream students, BS Psych, BA Com, BS Bio, BS Pulse students, and of course our faculty. I would like to sincerely thank our speaker, Dr. Anne Mariquit, for her excellent thought-provoking talk. An insightful interaction happens because the way she handles the discussion. Congratulations and thank you, Ma'am Kit. And of course, let me express my sincere appreciation to the BA Pulse Student Organization, to our CAS LGU, our program heads, for ensuring that little details and requirements on the ground were taken care of, so that I am pleased of their enthusiastic and dedicated work to make this activity happen. To all of us, kudos. We are all very instrumental for coming up with a very interactive discussion about gender-based sexual harassment. Thank you and good morning.
Oh,
Thank
thank
you,
you so much.
sir.
Thank you so much,
You,
Dr.
do we have
Valora.
a photo opportunity? Photo opportunity.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I would like to encourage everyone to please turn on your video cameras for documentation purposes. Okay. Okay, are you ready? So 1, 2, 3, smile. Isa pa. 1, 2, 3, smile. And last one, ma'am. 1, 2, 3, smile. Oh, thank you so much.
Okay, before I forget pala, that's why I'm wearing orange, because it's the color
Ay,
of the 18-day campaign. Okay, nakalimot kong explain. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
oh, thank you
Thank you.
so
Have a
much.
nice
Thank
day.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Salamat, Ma'am
you.
Kit. Salamat kayo,
Thank
Ma'am
you,
Kit.
Kaayo. Thank you.
Salamat
Thank you.
kayo, Miss
Thank
Vicky,
you.
Maria Victoria, Ma'am
Yes.
Vera.
You're welcome, Dr. Valora. It has been my pleasure to be your host and moderator this morning. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ma'am Bear.